Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. And today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. I feel like I'm dressing quite an autumnal colour today. Got a little clip in that says cutie. And I'm going to be talking through some of the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of October. Now, I've gone for a sort of spooky, witchy, gothic theme, murdery. Some of the theme for my month of October reads, just to sort of get in the spirit of things. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 books to get through here. Let's get onto them. But before we get onto the actual books, what I will say is that the second book in the Book of Dust series is out, and that will be coming out on the 3rd of October. I will definitely be reading that as well. Obviously I haven't got it here to show it with you. And again, I've forgotten the something Commonwealth. I forget it every time, but I will be reading the second book in the Book of Dust series as well. I'll insert a picture of it here. It's got a beautiful front cover. But on to the books that I will be reading in this month. So let's do these two first. So the first one is a set of short stories, and that is Daphne du Maurier's The Doll. You may well notice this is not a usual, I'm trying to find it, Daphne du Maurier cover. All of my Daphne du Maurier covers are these Daphne du Maurier covers with these stripy spines. This one is one that I think Simon gave me this because he had a double of it. So these are the old Virago, Modern Classic covers of these. This is a selection of short stories by Daphne du Maurier. It's got quite a lot of short stories in here. Some such as East Wind, The Doll, and Now to God the Father, A Difference in Temperament, Frustration, Piccadilly, Tame Cat. Now I'm told The Doll is about a sex doll, but I'm also told it's quite spooky, and I always find her short stories quite sort of like leaving you with wanting a little bit more, and sort of like quite extreme and creepy themes. So I feel like that would be a good book to read in the month of October. And then I've got one non-fiction, and then the rest are fiction. And that is In Search of Mary Shelley, the girl who wrote Frankenstein by Fiona Sampson. I read Frankenstein last year, and I'm going to be reading a Frankenstein retelling this year. So I didn't feel like the need to revisit Frankenstein this year. So I've gone for this, which was sent to me by the publisher, I feel like maybe even last year. And this is about Mary Shelley, the creator of Frankenstein, and her upbringing and falling. I think she fell in love very early, didn't she? And then he died, and then she wrote this book. She wrote Frankenstein, and yeah, I feel like, yes, look, it says at 16 she eloped with Percy Shelley and embarked on a passionate itinerant relationship before early widowhood changed her life forever. I knew that was in there already. So yeah, hopefully we'll get round to some non-fiction about the creator of Frankenstein. Now on to the fiction. The first one is a reread. It's a book that I read last year, and that's Ghost Walled by Sarah Moss. So I guess this is like, it's got the word ghost in it, but also it sort of, it follows, I'll tell you what it follows. It follows a girl called Sylvia and her mother and father who go to experimental, like reenact reenact the Iron Age, I think it is, yeah. And they go to archaeological digs and reenact that sort of thing. And while she's there reenacting this with her family, and there's a lot of problems with within her family, you also hear the voice of a bog girl who existed during the Iron Age. It's a really short little thing. It packs a punch. I read it last year, and I would have read it in one sitting if I hadn't. I think I was on holiday when I read this with David in Cromer, and I feel like maybe this is going to be one that I actually sit and read in one sitting this time around, because I would have loved to have done that last year. So that's that one. Then I've got my Patreon book club pick. This is Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. Over on Patreon, I've got a Patreon account where you can tip me as little as $1 a month upwards, and I run a book club over there where we discuss a book a month via a live show on YouTube. It's a live show private link. God, this is sounding very sexual, isn't it? A live show private link. And we discuss the book. And this month, in October, we're going to be discussing Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. There was a vote between Practical Magic and Frankisstein by Jeanette Winterson, and this won. This is about witches. It's about sisterhood, friendship. There is a film made of this as well, which I'm also hoping to watch. I've got a feeling it was made like early thousands, maybe late 90s. And this is about sisters Gillian and Sally, who were forever outsiders in their small New England town, teased, taunted and shunned for the sense of magic that seemed to hang in the air around them. All Gillian and Sally ever wanted was to get away. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. It sounds really cosy as well, which is perfect. And then I've got two books which I don't know, I feel like this first one might be YA, or they look like YA covers. The first one is The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert. This is about Alice and her grandmother, who is the reclusive author of a book of pitch dark fairy tales. She dies alone on her estate, and Alice discovers how bad luck can get. It says here on the back. It's got a really gorgeous front cover. It's like these lovely leaves in this blue. And yeah, so it's about sort of dark and fairy tales, and I thought that would be perfect as well. And then I've got Wicked Like Wildfire by Lana Popovic. I think both of these I got from Mercedes. I think Mercedes was getting rid of both of these. And this is, it doesn't allude to witchiness. Oh no, it does say bewitching here. So it's about Iris and Melina's family, and they've got a unique magic ability, or a gleam, where they can manipulate beauty. Iris sees flowers as fractal and turns her kaleidoscope visions into glasswork, while Melina interprets moods as music. But their mother has forbidden Iris and Melina to share their magic with anyone, and above all to fall in love. And then their mother's attacked, and they sort of reassess everything they've been told. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. It sounds so great. I'm really excited about all of these books. It sounds like it's going to be a really creepy, cozy reading month. Now on to murder. Speaking of creepy, cozy reading month, now on to murder. I've never read any Agatha Christie in my whole life, and I bought this book from, oh look, it's even got here, Armchair Books. Very early on in my booktube career, I went to Edinburgh for one night only, and met up with Brittany from Under the Radar Books, who sadly no longer makes videos, and Jean, and we went book shopping in Edinburgh, and one of the bookshops we went to was Armchair Books, which I was desperate to revisit because I really, really loved it there. And I bought this old Agatha Christie, this is like republished but old front cover Agatha Christie book for £4.50, with the designs to read some Agatha Christie, having never read any before in my life. And I thought that maybe murder and intrigue would be a good time to read. October would be a good time to read some murder and intrigue. So this is, and then there were none. Now there was a TV adaptation made of this, maybe last Christmas or the Christmas before, but this doesn't have, what I feel like this differs from normal Agatha Christie books, from what I could understand from the blurb, is that there's no one investigating this murder. You're just sort of hearing the storyline go as they go. So yeah, but it is set in the summer. That's the only thing I will say. But I have been wanting to read it for a long, long time, so that's that. And then I've got Perfume by Patricia Suskind. This is the story of a murderer. This is about a chap, I believe, who murders women. It's set, well, I don't know when it's set, but it murders women, from what I understand, because there's no blurb here. It just says, like, it's just got quotes on the back. Murders women and then makes them into perfume. I believe he's a German author. I don't know if it's set in Germany. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, Perfume by Patrick Suskind, more murder. Then I've got a gothic-y book called This is the Wicked Cometh, a novel of Darkest London by Laura Carlin. This is set in 1833 in London. It says here, down the murky alleyways of London, acts of unspeakable wickedness are taking place, and no one is willing to speak out on behalf of the city's vulnerable poor as they disappear from the streets. Out of the shadows come Hester White. Weirdly, I'm reading The 13th Tale at the moment, which also has a character called Hester in it. A bright young woman who is desperate to escape the slums with any means possible. So yeah, it sounds like they're working their way up. Hester is thrust into the world of the aristocratic Brock family. She leaps at the chance to improve her station in life under the tutelage of the fiercely intelligent and mysterious Rebecca Brock. But whispers from her past slowly begin to poison her new life, and both she and Rebecca are lured into the most sinister of investigations. Now what I liked about this, because when I was looking through these, oh god, it's got some lovely like flower work on it, but it opens with a newspaper article, which I feel very excited about. That reminds me of like projects when I was at school, like making a newspaper article on the War of the Worlds, etc. So that one as well. Then I've got this one, oh goodness me, which for a long, long time was the only horror book I owned. Horror's not a big book, big thing that I read. This was sent to me by Page Habit. Page Habit, I'm not even sure if they're still running. I imagine they still are. They sent me a couple of boxes years ago when I was living in the old flat, and they send you a book which is annotated by the author, and then they also send you some sort of like goodies and little bits that go along with the book. And this is the Rattled Bones by S.M. Parker, and this is about murder. Main-bred, independent Rilla Bray is no stranger to the deep. She knows the rhythms of hard work and harder seas, but when she experiences the sudden death of her father, the veil between the living and the dead blurs, and she begins to be haunted by a girl on a nearby uninhabited island. The girl floats a song over the waves, and it's beautiful and terrifying, familiar and distant. It's not about murder at all. So yeah, so looking forward to reading that, and also excited to have some little That's cute. There must be a character called Sam then. Didn't it just say Sam? No. So yeah, reading that as well. And then, I previously mentioned, I will be hopefully getting around to Frankisstein by Jeanette Winterson. This is a retelling of Frankenstein told in Brexit Britain. A young transgender gender doctor called Rye is falling in love against their better judgment with Victor Stein, a celebrated professional professor leading the public debate around AI. So yeah, it's told through a few perspectives. So Ron Lord is also another one he's recently divorced. He's living with his mum again, and he's set to make his fortune launching a new generation of sex dolls for lonely men everywhere. 2 books about sex dolls in 1 month. Figure. And then there's also, the scene is set in 1816 where 19-year-old Mary Shelley writes a story about creating a non-biological life form. So yeah, so I'm excited to read that as well. And then the last one I've got is one that Jen has mentioned many times. And this is Poor Things by Alistair Gray. This is creepy, but it sounds like it would be perfect October reading. So, what strange secret made rich, beautiful, tempestuous Bella Baxter irresistible to the poor Scottish medical student Archie McCandless? Was it her mysterious origin in his home of monstrous friend Godwin Baxter, the genius whose voice could perforate eardrums? This story of true love and scientific daring whirls the reader from the private operating theatres of late Victorian Glasgow through aristocratic casinos, low-life Alexandria and a Parisian bordello, reaching an interrupted climax in a Scottish church. So I believe there are themes of Frankenstein in here as well. So those are the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of October. Do you guys have plans to read spooky dooky reads in the month of October? I feel very excited about all of these reads. Not sure where I'm going to start. Where will I start? Maybe with Wicked like Wildfire. Or maybe with Frankisstein, I don't know. But would be very interested to hear if you've read any of these books, if you've got plans to read spooky things in the month of October. Hope you're having a lovely autumn so far. I certainly am. And I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!